Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video. Now before I even get started, I know what you're going to say. Smurfy, what the hell is Painter's Zoo? Well, that's exactly what I thought when I first saw this tweet. So, as you can see in play, what we've got is our opponent is sitting in play with a Scion of Draco, which has a bunch of different keywords depending on what creatures you have in play and what colors they are. Paired with a Painter's Servant. So Painter's Servant allows you to pick a color as it comes into play, and then everything is now that color, in addition to all its other colors. So you pair that with a Scion of Draco, and all of a sudden you can start really manipulating creature keywords you get. So this person has clearly gone with blue. What that means is all their creatures now have hexproof. The Painter's Servant has hexproof, so they can't kill that. The Draco has hexproof, so your opponent can't kill that. And you kind of just have like hexproof creatures for the rest of the game, which is really, really sweet. And I absolutely fell in love with the look of this deck. And if you're not familiar with my channel, playing Zoo and putting weird things into the deck is kind of my go-to. So I definitely hopped onto this, and I apologize for whoever came up with this deck or this idea. From the tweet, I can't see your username. I've googled and I just can't seem to find anything. So I apologize to whoever made this deck originally. I am just going to be taking that as inspiration and seeing what I can make this deck into. So my first thought was, we probably do want to be choosing blue with Painter's Servant, because that means with Scion of Draco, everything has hexproof, and it's just really hard for your opponent to remove either of the creatures. And pair that with all your Zoo creatures, you're going to be able to hit your opponent really, really hard, and then not going to be able to use all their spot removal, so it's really hard to deal with a Zoo deck, if everything's hexproof, of course. So what cards can we take advantage of if all of our opponent's stuff is blue? So the first card that sprung to mind, for me at least, was Veil of Summer. Veil of Summer is just a huge payoff if your opponent is playing blue or black spells. Luckily we're playing Painter's Servant, so they're going to be whether they like it or not. This means that if our opponent tries to use a removal spell, we can Veil of Summer, essentially prevent their removal spell from working, but also draw a card, which is obviously really, really powerful. Using a Blossoming Defense to save a creature is pretty good, but using a Blossoming Defense to save a creature and then drawing a card is just kind of ridiculous. And the next card that sprung to mind to me was Mystical Dispute. Being essentially a 1-mana mana leak in Modern if you're against a blue opponent, but more importantly, we're always against blue opponents. So this is going to be a 1-mana mana leak just to counter our opponent's stuff. If they're trying to do some combo shenanigans, we can just counter the payoff card. If they try to use removal on our dudes, we can just counter it. I think Mystical Dispute is a really sweet option. And then I got thinking, if we want to play Painter's Servant and we want to play Scion of Draco, we need to be able to do this quite consistently, otherwise we're just playing a 2-mana 1/3 in our Zoo deck, which is clearly not good. So what we're going to do is we're going to enable this as consistently as possible by utilizing Traverse the Ulvenwald. What it allows you to do is pay 1 green mana, go get whichever one of the two you need to enable all your creatures to have hexproof. Obviously enabling Delirium can be quite tricky. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with all the staples that you'd expect to see. 4 Mishra's Baubles. This just means that we can manipulate our deck with our fetch lands and just get an easy artifact into the graveyard. We're going to play a Singleton Seal of Fire, just a really easy way to get an enchantment into the graveyard, but also can remove Ragavans and all that kind of stuff. And we're also going to pair that with a Tarfire as well, which is a tribal card, which does count towards Delirium. Tribal is one of those cards that you just don't tend to see very often, but they do count. And then if you're going to all this trouble to get Delirium, and often you're going to go well above 4, you can often go to 5 or 6 different card types, you might as well play Tarmogoyf over the Brawler, because that way it's going to be bigger, it's going to survive through bolts, and it just seems like an overall much more powerful creature if you can enable it. So there you have it. We have the Scion of Dracos, the Painter's Servants, the Traverse, and the Tarmogoyfs, and the Kavus. Okay, so fill in some blank spots with some generic Zoo creatures, and then we've got a pretty decent shell to go with. And then I really wanted to round the deck out with another little combo that I've been playing recently in Modern. And if you've seen my previous videos, you'll already know what I'm about to talk about. If you haven't, I've been recently playing Scion of Draco with Eldritch Evolution. What that allows you to do is have a Scion of Draco in play, sack it to Eldritch Evolution, and then go get pretty much whatever creature you want in Modern and stick it into play. In my last videos, we've been putting things like Omnaths and Brood Dragons, and then all the way up to Progenitus. Yeah, you can literally put Progenitus into play as soon as turn 3. It's absolutely hilarious. But today, as we're playing Painter's Servant, I wanted to try something a little bit different. If we're going to be naming blue so our opponent can't target all our stuff because all our creatures have hexproof, why not take that a step further and not even let them cast spells? So today we're going to be playing Iona as well. So if we have a Scion of Draco in play, we can Eldritch Evolution, turn into Iona, name whatever their most common colour is, and if we really get lucky, we can then have a Painter's Servant in play, name the colour that we've chosen, and our opponent is literally just locked out of the game, which is going to be really funny. Yeah, so I thought that would be really sweet. So as you can see, this is the list that we've come to, for the main deck at least. But there is plenty more gas in the sideboard because we have 4 Traverse and 3 Eldritch Evolution. So what we're going to do is we are going to jam our sideboard with a bunch of silver bullets for specific matchups, which are going to be Thalia to stop any Rock Priest decks or any other shenanigans with Underworld Breach or any Storm cards or anything like that. Sanctifier en-Vec, this is going to stop things like Scam, any sort of graveyard shenanigans. Aven Mindcensor, things like fetch lands, really good against Amulet Titan as an example. Orvar, which is fantastic against creativity. We're also going to be playing an Outland Liberator. A lot of people might not be familiar with this card because it's kind of just like a draft uncommon. But it's a card that I've really wanted to play in Modern. And again, we're just going to be tutoring for these a lot of the time. So only playing one is going to be still really impactful because we essentially just have 5 of them. Next up is Lavinia. So it turns off your opponents from using pitch elementals really early in the game. It also stops your opponent from cascading, so no more rhinos for your opponents, no more living ends for your opponents. It keeps the game a little bit more fair. And speaking of fair, we're also playing 2 Gaddock Teeg as well. Gaddock Teeg stops your opponent from casting spells with X in their CMC, or at least non-creatures with X. What that means is your opponent can't creativity. It also means they can't cast big spells, so 4 or greater if they're non-creatures. Again, just showing off more things that your opponent could be doing that we don't really want them to do. But the main thing is creativity. And we're also going to play another Eldritch Evolution target, and that's going to be Elesh Norn. I think this is going to be a really sweet card against Hammer Time and any sort of creature deck. So I just thought it'd be really fun to try out. If your opponent has any remotely small creatures in play, they're just going to die to state-based effects. Hammer Time can just never have a creature in play, and I just think it would be really funny to do. So we're going to play an Elesh Norn. And I also really love Sword of Fire and Ice. Absolutely love playing it in Cube, and I kind of miss it. So today, as we're naming blue, and we're going to make all of our opponent's stuff blue anyway, why not give our creatures protection from blue, start hitting our opponent, shocking things, drawing cards. I think Sword of Fire and Ice deserve to see more play, so we're going to do that just as an honorary card in our sideboard. And then to round it out, we're going to finish off our playsets of Veil of Summer and Mystical Dispute, because when they are good, they are absolutely fantastic. So there you have it, guys. Painter's Zoo in Modern. If this is the kind of thing that's up your street, you want to see some wacky decks, particularly in a zoo shell, then make sure to subscribe because there is plenty more coming where this came from. And if you want to see any decks in particular, I do play other decks as well. So make sure you subscribe and like if you enjoy the content. And if you want to see more decks or anything in the future, just let me know in the comments. I will probably try a deck out if you suggest it. I read every single comment. It's not like I'm a huge YouTuber, so if you send me a comment, I will read it and I will probably respond as well. Oh yeah, we'll keep this for sure. Let's see what we got. Turn 1 Rags into Goyf. Our Goyf will be a 2/3 at worst, so it will be bolt proof. Yeah, this hand looks pretty good. We've got the Eldritch Evolution, just patiently waiting for a Draco. I have seen that people have played Atrax. Is that the new legend? It says like look at the top, so it's like 6 or 7 mana, something stupid, and then it says ETB. Look at the top 10 cards of your deck. Put 1 of each per type into your hand, which is really sweet. Oh, that makes our Bauble significantly worse. And we draw our second evolution. All right. We're just going to keep the Bauble in hand for now, I think. We are probably against blue-white Hammer Time. I think that's pretty much the only deck that goes Seachrome Coast into Esper Sentinel. So we do definitely need to get the pressure on here. Steam Vents, we will shock. We'll play Rags and pass the turn. We can obviously play the Mishra's Bauble later on just to make our Goyfs bigger. Ideally, we will not be giving our opponent an extra card for free. Not what you want to be doing in this matchup. But this is one of the matchups where if you can land a Elesh Norn, you probably just win. So very, very excited to play the sideboard games. Our opponent plays a reality chip, so we are never getting through this Ragavan. We draw Painter's Servant. That doesn't really help us right now, but that's all good. We can just go get a Temple Garden. And I guess just play a Goyf. Yeah, we'll get Temple Garden, Shock. We'll just play a little Tarmogoyf. It's only small. And we will just pass the turn back. Can't talk today. It's been a long day at work. Opponent is taking a while to respond. I assume there's nothing they're going to do. I mean, they're playing Hammer and they're tapped out. This is one of the matchups where you really, really want Hinjitsu, who consumes all, I think it's called. Haijitsu consumes all. I just call it consumes all. In this matchup, it's just incredible. It kills all the Saga tokens, all the Saga tutor targets, the Sentinels, blows up the hammers, blows up most of the deck. So yeah, it's a shame we don't have any of them in the board. Very, very good in this matchup. Opponent might just use the Saga to make a dude here. If they just go make a dude, untap, trigger on the stack, make another dude, that would be quite hard for us to beat. Hammer Time is just a very, very tough matchup. I don't know why it doesn't see as much play as other decks. I think it's very underrepresented for how powerful it is. Maybe people just don't like playing it. Is our opponent just gonna like whack us for 11? What are they thinking? I think if they have a hammer, they just swing, right? Okay, they don't swing, so I don't think they have a hammer. They're going to have to go get it with the Saga. We draw Draco, which we can't actually cast. What should we do? We can't just play a Tarmogoyf. Okay, we're going to have to play the Bauble. We do not really have a choice. I'm also trying out my new setup with my mic, like right here. So if you've noticed any difference in the audio, better or worse, please let me know. I think I need to get one of them pop filters, just in case you guys like get any bad feedback. But yeah, hopefully it sounds better. I used to have it like right above my monitor, but it was like quite far away, so it didn't really pick up my voice as well. This should sound better, but you guys tell me if it sounds better or it sounds worse, or you can't tell the difference. It was definitely more convenient out of the way, but if it sounds not as good, I'm trying to ramp up the quality of the videos, so. See what our opponent's going to draw next turn. A Springleaf Drum. Okay, well, we don't need to worry about that. We will pay 2 for, I guess, Painter's Servant. What would we name? We'll play Goyf. Play the Goyf, pass the turn, and wait for our impending death to a hammer. Reality Chip is such a powerful card, but it just never seems to go off. I don't know why, but like whenever I see it in play, I'm like, oh my god, this could completely dominate the game. Never does. It just feels like it's like almost overkill in the hammer deck. The deck is so consistent, you don't really need this. At least in my opinion. Obviously, I'm no hammer aficionado, so I could be completely wrong, but I don't know. Every time my opponent plays Reality Chip, I'm just underwhelmed by its results. I'm always intimidated by the potential it could do. What are we going to draw here? Hopefully a land. Okay, that's good. So we can go get the Abzan land, play Draco. Oh, sure. So opponent goes and gets their hammer here, sticks it on their sentinel, I expect. Yep. Well, 11's quite a lot to take, so we're going to be blocking that with something. Probably just a Rags. We can't get a untapped black source with this. We can only get a Blood Crypt in our deck if we want untapped black. Sorry, a swamp and untapped mana. So like if you want to play Draco and a 1-drop, for example. Which we don't in this situation anyway. So we're just going to go ahead and jump. It doesn't matter that this is huge. Oh, they're not even bothering attacking. That is quite scary that our opponent doesn't feel the need to attack. We can obviously just keep jumping, so it's not the end of the world. Currently in the graveyard is land, artifact, and enchantment. So sending Ragavan to the graveyard would make these bigger than their token and their reality chip, so maybe that's why they're being a little bit cautious. So play the Misty, we will go fetch. We'll go get the Abzan land because we want black and we also want a second green for the evolution. And wait for our opponent to pass priority back to us. There we go. Xander's Lounge obviously doesn't give us the green, so yeah, we'll get the Indatha Triome. And we will play the Draco here. So what we can do is play Draco, next turn evolution, turn it into Iona, name white, whatever, and then the following turn use this and name white. And then everything should be okay. I guess no, we'd need to name. Well, I don't know what color is best in this matchup. We could name black, just for the lifelink. They're not going to have too much interaction, so I'm not too worried about the combo. Pure Steel Paladin. Yeah, sure. Okay, so our opponent has got everything they could possibly need here. Oh my god. So they got Reality Chip online, so if you're not familiar with this card, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. As long as Reality Chip is attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your deck. Alright, they're swinging with both here, which is kind of scary. I don't know what in their deck gives Trample. I think they just want to get us dead. So if we block there, take the 4, then these guys will be bigger than this. Yeah, we'll take the 4. Don't really want to lose our Goyfs. Oh shit, they have another hammer? Oh, okay, well that's just game. Fair play to our opponent. That was not optimal, but that's all good. So we will get rid of Iona for Elesh Norn, because Elesh Norn is essentially a board wipe. Outland Liberator, obviously one of the best cards in this matchup. And do we want Thalia? Probably not. Oh, we want Mindcensor. That works against the land, the Saga land. And what do we not want in this matchup? Veil is pretty poor. They do run Spell Pierce though. I don't think it matters. I say that. I say I don't think it matters. I guarantee you I'm going to go turn 2 Draco, turn 3 Evolution, think I've won the game, and then they're just going to Spell Pierce us. I feel like that is exactly what's going to happen in this game. Okay, here we go. We won the dice roll. We definitely need to go first. Yeah, this hand is great. We'll go ahead and keep. We get to play out Bauble this time straight away and not have to worry about paying the 1 mana. Opponent has Mulligan down to 6. See if they keep their 6. I think hammer works pretty well, even if you're on a low card count, because you only really need a creature, a hammer, and a way to equip it for free. Like that's all you really need. Let's just play Bauble, target ourselves, and see if we want to fetch now or during our opponent's turn or whatever. What do we got on top? We've got Artifact. Yeah, we don't want a forest. We will fetch straight away here. What do we fetch? I think we're just going to go get a tapped land. We will go for Xander's Lounge, and then next up we can get Temple Garden, play our Goyf. And yeah, we can put instant in our graveyard, that puts us up to 3, and then we just need a creature, which will probably be this Goyf. Like, I don't think Goyf is dying anytime soon though. We draw the Draco, okay, that's a nice turn too. Opponent's going to lead off with what they're going to play on turn 1. Are they going to be playing the new Mother of Runes? It's got like Toxic 1. I don't know if people are going to be playing that or not. I know it gets played in Pioneer straight away, I think. Opponent just leads off with a Springleaf Drum, so not an exciting start for our opponent. We can just go Foothills, go get Temple Garden, play a Draco, and things are looking good for us. We've got plenty of interaction, and we've even got the Traverse. So yeah, we will play this, shock, pay 2, play the Draco, and pass the turn back. Opponent plays an Norn up to here, so they can now tap that for mana, so they've got access to 3 now. Oh, they've got the Sigarda's Aid, sure. And a Ginger Brute. So if they have a hammer here, we could be in serious trouble. Yeah, if our opponent just goes swing with Ginger Brute and they have a hammer, we would be in so much trouble. Okay, so let's just go land. And I think we just have to keep up Double Bolt for a while. Otherwise we're just dead to an Inkmoth. So attack with the Draco. Oh no, we only need to have... Sorry, this doesn't have flying when you equip a hammer onto it. Because the hammer says it loses flying. So we can just play the Kavu and block and then respond to the hammer. So let's just go red, green, play the Kavu. Yeah, this is definitely, I think, the best thing to do. Because they can put the hammer onto the Ginger Brute and then make the Ginger Brute unblockable. But that only gets us for a small... Well, that gets us for like 11, which isn't going to kill us. And we can also just bolt the Ginger Brute in response. Let's see what our opponent's going to do here. They're just passing the turn. Okay, opponent is not got a hammer, I don't think, because they should have attacked by now with it. So we're just going to swing with both. And what are we pitching to this Kavu? Probably just Goyf. It gets us closer to Delirium. Yeah, I think so. So I think what we want to traverse for is just the werewolf. And then we can get the werewolf in play, and then as soon as it flips, it's just like really, really powerful. So discard a card. If you do, you may draw a card. That's not even a may. It's literally you have to. So you have to choose the other option if you don't want to loot. So Tarmogoyf goes, and we draw Tarfire, which does now enable our Traverse. Really, really nice draw there. Sure, they can just chump with their Ornithopter, buy a little bit of time. And I think we do just want to go one red, Tarfire, I guess the Ginger Brute. Yeah, the Ginger Brute's got the most evasion because Ornithopter obviously loses flying if they put the hammer onto it. And now we can go green, Traverse. Go get our, wherever it is, Outland Liberator. And I think we have to pass and do it next turn, because I'd rather just keep up these bolts. We can go get Steam Vent's Blood Crypt, so we do actually have double bolt up here. Sure, it's pretty niche that our opponent happens to draw the hammer, but I don't want to risk them landing a hammer and killing us with Inkmoth. I guess if they attacked with the Inkmoth with the hammer, we would just... No, because you can attack with this after blocks, then put the hammer on, so that wouldn't work. Opponent passes, so we will go ahead and fetch now, I think. Go get Steam Vents. Not pay, and yeah, we'll keep the other one up. And now we just swing with both. And we just double bolt them. We didn't even need the Liberator, which is a shame. I really wanted to see how much work we could get out of this, but not a lot. So swing with both. We can loot away this Tri-land if we want to. I don't see why not. And see if our opponent's got anything. I don't think there's anything they can have here. Not really. So you jump there, go down to 5. And I think we'll just play the Liberator and pass. And they literally have to play something here. Otherwise this flips and... yeah. There's just too much going on, I think. Opponent did mulligan, and they didn't find a Saga or a hammer. And this deck really doesn't function without a hammer. There's not a lot else you can do. It's very, very good at finding hammers, though, to be fair. You got to play something. So if you haven't seen this card, the flip, so it's 2 mana for a 2/2, pay 1 mana and sack it, destroy an artifact or enchantment. But it flips if no one casts a spell in a turn. And then it says sacrifice it, destroy target artifact or enchantment for the 1 mana, but it also has whenever it attacks, destroy an artifact or enchantment. So just every time you chip away, take one of their permanents. It's really, really powerful. And I think we just send it back. Oh, this hand is not good enough, unfortunately. We'll go ahead and mulligan. Yeah, I think this is actually a lot better than it looks. So we'll go ahead and keep. We will put back one of the Traverse. Yeah. Just really hope they don't have the 1-drop here. Hey, why am I? Okay, that's fine. So now we can go ahead and play the Bauble, see what is on top. Haywire Might is pretty much just a tutor target for the saga, for their saga, but it's worth noting that people bring this in against us because of Leyline Binding. Fortunately for us, we're not actually playing like Leyline Binding, so it doesn't matter. Cool. Do we want to draw a bolt? I don't think we'd mind drawing a bolt. So we can just play a fetch and pass. So now if we fetch and we end of turn Tarfire, that is Delirium online already. I think regardless of what we do, we just want to play a turn 2 Liberator. And then turn 3, just F6, pass the turn back. We just want to flip this as soon as possible. And our opponent's going to run out of cards soon, so they won't be able to flip it back very easily. Because you need to play 2 spells in a turn to flip it back to the smaller version. And they're playing their hammer without having anything in play to equip it. So they might just go next turn, play the dude that allows you to equip stuff for free. So they're attacking with the Haywire Might. I think we just blow this up with Tarfire. Try and keep them off of Metalcraft, and we just want this Tarfire in the bin, really. We'll get Steam Vents, Shock, Tarfire it away. They gain the 2 life. not really relevant. Draw another Bauble. Okay, so we'll go ahead, play the Bauble here. Did our opponent keep a 7? Let me just check. They mulligan to 6, I think. So, how likely is it we think they have a hammer? A way to equip this. I think it's pretty ballsy to play this if you don't have don't have the dude in your hand. So let's go land. Bauble, target ourselves. Okay, well we don't want to draw that, so we will play the Misty and fetch. And what do we get here? I guess we just get a Temple Garden. Yeah, we'll get Temple Garden and Shock. Pay 1 green. Wait. Do we just let them have the hammer? Yeah, play the next dude and then we can use the Liberator? No, because they would get 2 hits in. So we'll just go Traverse, we'll keep up Bolt. And do we get Aven Mindcensor here, just in case they draw a Saga, or we go Kavu. No, we'll go for Draco. And then that way, if we draw an evolution, we can also evolution into Elesh Norn. I think you can go for Kavu. Kavu is obviously really good as well. I don't think there's a terrible option there. We're going for the greedy one though. We're here to put Elesh Norns into play. If I can increase our chances of getting an Elesh Norn in play, I'm gonna do so. Very, very surprised that they played the hammer unless they have the 2-drop. And of course we draw land. But that's all good. That is our second green source for evolution. So we're just going to remain optimistic. Sure, so they get Stoneforge. They can go tutor for something else. Not sure what we're scared of at this point. Cauldra? Yeah, we're pretty scared of Cauldra. We are just going to have to bolt that end of turn. Because we can't beat a Cauldra very easily. And if we can get rid of their Stoneforge, it's very, very hard for them to get a Cauldra in play. See if our opponent has any response to our bolting of their Stoneforge. There's nothing they can really have. They don't play any forces. They obviously are not going to be playing Mutagenic Growth. I assume they're not playing Mutagenic Growth. That would be sweet tech. Get around Bolt by just making your dudes X4s. Okay, sweet. So that is dead, and now we can go ahead, play the Liberator, and just try and get it online. Opponent playing very slow, unfortunately. But to be fair, I do normally play very slow as well, so I can't really talk. Let's go Forest, pay 2, play the Liberator, and pass the turn. So if something goes really, really wrong, we can sack this to blow something up. But realistically, we're just going to try and flip it. And then just ride the werewolf side of it to the victory. I don't know why, but the frenzied side of this really gives me Game of Thrones vibes. Actually, both sides kind of do. The left side reminds me of at the beginning where they get the wolves, and then the other side reminds me of, like, I don't know, the second from last season, I think it is. I won't say why, in case you guys haven't watched it. No spoilers. There is no spoilers on this YouTube channel. Other than I just said about the wolves. That's not a spoiler, though. That's not. That is a spoiler, but it's not a very relevant one. Okay, so what is our opponent going to do here? All they've done is play an Esper Sentinel. They probably want to start sandbagging cards now they know we have the Liberator. Because they have to play a card every turn to stop it from flipping. And if we play nothing, they then need to play 2. So they know that they need to keep this flipped. Unfortunately, they get to decide if it ever attacks flipped, assuming they can keep cards in hand. I'm just very, very confused why our opponent has played the hammer. They must have the 2-drop in hand, but just not got the 3rd mana to play an artifact and have Metalcraft. Mystical Dispute might be a pretty good draw, actually. So if we just play this tapped, we will play the Draco. Okay, so the Draco resolves. We might as well attack for 2. I can't see any real risk here. Okay, so we attack for 2. We do need to really put some pressure on our opponent. They may have very little in play, but they've got a lot going on. Or a lot potentially. Like if they just go untap, play a dude, they can put the hammer on something. Okay, so they've got another Stoneforge Mystic. Again, we need to kill this because what they get isn't important. It's the fact they've already got the Cauldron in hand. And this can't exile stuff, can it? No, it's all just destroy. Okay. Yeah, we really, really need to find an answer to the Stoneforge Mystic here. An evolution off the top is obviously the best draw. I think if we draw an evolution with this Draco in play, we just win. I don't think there's a way they ever come back from that. And that's just how you draw, I guess. So we will play the land. Let's go 1, 2, 3. Play evolution. Sack the Draco. You know what? Have the card. I don't think we care. And let's see if Hammer can beat an Elesh Norn. I'm fairly sure it can't. But we will see. We'll see if our opponent can do anything about it. I can't believe that we just drew the exact card we needed. This game is so easy when you just have everything you need, right? So easy. So we whack our opponent here for 4, and now state-based effects just do the rest of the work for us. They have to have Path to Exile here to ever be able to come back. I actually can't believe we've got Elesh Norn in play against the Hammer opponent. Sure, you can play your as a Saga, you can make dudes which have no power and toughness. Pure Steel Paladin, you got it. What is going on? Oh, they're playing a card so that we don't flip our Liberator. Sure. Our opponent is genuinely putting up the fight or the best fight they can here. But we're not going to play it. We're not going to cast a spell, so it's going to flip. So they're going to have to cast 2 spells next turn, which will probably not result in very much happening. Come on, opponent. Can you beat an Elesh Norn? I wonder if there's a better huge creature you can play against Hammer Time. I couldn't think of one. I thought this would be the sweetest. Maybe there's... I feel like there's like some King Kong card. Okay, sure. You have another hammer. You still need to play another spell to flip this back. Otherwise, it's just lethal. You can make a dude. It would be a... yeah, a dude would survive. It'd be a 1-1. And our opponent concedes. Sweet. There you go, guys. That is how you beat Hammer Time. You just cheat an Elesh Norn into play. Sweet. We are on the play. And this hand looks... yeah, this hand looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and keep. We got Triome into Draco or Traverse or Goyf. We probably don't want to use the first Traverse just for the sake of it. So we can get a land into the graveyard and an artifact really easy with the Bauble and the land. But getting Delirium after that might be a struggle. So it might be worth using the first Ulvenwald, but I would prefer not to. Anyway, let's go ahead and Bauble ourselves first, see what we've got on top. A Kavu. See, we've already got 2 2-drops, so I don't think I mind shuffling that away. We'll just go ahead and fetch now. We'll get a Xander's Lounge and pass the turn back. Kavu would have been a fine draw, but I don't think we need another 2-drop. Not really. And we draw our Mystical Dispute. This should be fun. Opponent leads off with a tapped Overgrown Tomb. Okay, you don't see many Overgrown Tombs in Modern anymore. Let's go ahead, play the forest, sorry, the Misty Rainforest. We get a Temple Garden, Shock. Domain is online, and do we want to play a Goyf or a Draco? I think we want to play a Draco to lead off with, just naturally a little bit bigger. Also dodges Fatal Push, which is a very possible card our opponent could be on. The only deck that I can really think of in Modern that plays Overgrown Tomb is Yawgmoth, but they generally play a lot of Dorks, so it kind of makes me think maybe not that. Oh. Okay, so our opponent is on Domain Zoo. They've just drawn really, really poorly with their mana base. Doesn't mean their hand is bad though. In fact, if they've those lands, it must mean the spells in their hand are really good. Okay, so I don't mind using one of the Traverses here just because we don't have a third land drop. So we can go ahead, use the Temple Garden, get a Forest. We've then got Artifact, Sorcery, and Land. So it's just one more thing to get in, into the graveyard and we are good to go. In fact, we could even Bolt here, which will put instant. Yeah, I think I like the look of that actually. So let's go red. We'll just get this out of the way. I don't want to be messing around with that. And then we can Traverse here for, I think we just go for Painter's Servant. Wherever it is. Yeah, let's go for Painter's Servant here. And we'll crack in for 4. And our opponent has exactly 1 turn to answer this Draco. Otherwise, they're going to have to start killing the Painter's Servant, which, well, they won't be able to, obviously, because of the Draco, but I don't think there's any way that they can really get around it. They would have to go something like land Tribal Flames or use a Leyline Binding on the Draco here. They just have another Brawler. Okay, really not exciting. Not an exciting start for our opponent. So let's go ahead, untap, and we draw we draw another Mystical Dispute, which is going to make this Painter's Servant even better. So we'll go ahead, play Painter's Servant, choose blue. Everything we have is hexproof, and we have 2 1-mana counter spells in hand. So I think this game is going to go pretty well for us. And I love how our hand just looks so strange. How you've got a blue-red Ragavan in your hand, and you've got a Simic Tarmogoyf. It's very strange. Obviously, we can play the Ragavan, but I'm much more interested in just 1-mana counter spelling them for the next 2 turns. And their 2-mana 3/3 is probably not going to be able to race us. Sure. Alright, so our opponent's going to attack in for 3. Obviously, we are not going to throw our Painter's Servant under the bus. Yep. So we take 3. We're down to 13. And oh my god, does this deck feel so fucking cool. We've got counter spells. We've got Scion of Draco. We've got everything going on here. It's what you call some good magic. The fact that you have access to Traverse just makes the deck so much more consistent than you'd ever think it would be able to be. So like they can't Binding that. Well, I guess they can cast Binding, but it's not going to do anything. What's our opponent paying? Oh, they're just going to the end step. Alright, cool. So we'll just go ahead, play a land, and I think we just dash the Rags. 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, in fact, we don't even have to. Oh, we want to keep this up though. Oh no, we can fetch a Breeding Pool or a Steam Vents. So yeah, let's go red, whatever, dash Rags. And again, Ragavan has hexproof, so I don't know what our opponent is going to be able to do with that. So we're swinging with everything, as long as they don't have something to kill this, but I mean, we can counter anything they play anyway. Opponent gives us a Flooded Strand. Alright, well, we're obviously not doing anything with a Flooded Strand, but we can now play a Tarmogoyf. So let's go ahead. Oh, do we even need to bother? No, we're not even going to bother. We're just going to keep open 2 Mystical Disputes. You can cast 2 spells, we'll counter both of them, and we will probably be moving on to the next game. I'm pretty sure our opponent is just on 5-color zoo and they've just drawn a really non-functional hand with their lands. I don't know any other deck that plays Neoshiba Brawler. Neshoba Brawler, sorry? Not Neoshiba. I always call it Neoshiba, it's not, it's Neshoba. So our opponent's going to attack in here for 3 by the look of it. No, they're not attacking, so they want to survive against our Ragavan. We're just going to play a land. Let's just go red and anything, dash our Ragavan here, and we just swing them with everything. They can only block our Ragavan and then they take 5. So that is game, I think. I can't imagine there's anything our opponent could have, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll see what they're up to over there. And if you can't see what's going on here, Painted 7 is named blue. All their spells are blue, so now we have 1 mana, essentially a 1 mana leak, but we've got 2 of them. And sweet, that was that's the first game I've ever played with this deck. That was that was some good magic. All right, so moving on to the sideboard, what are we against? A cat, an overgrown tomb, a temple garden, and a forest. Don't really know what to make of that. I think they are just generic domain zoo. So if that's the case, do we want fire and ice? It's super slow, but it's pretty sweet. I think we just stick with what we've got, to be honest. I think maybe sort of fire and ice would be pretty good, but I'm not too worried. You can bring in Lavinia to turn off Leyline Binding. That's not a good option because obviously Leyline Binding costs a lot less, but they still can't cast it unless they have 6 lands. So that does completely shut off Binding for pretty much the whole game. But I don't think that's worth it. Not for a little 2-drop. What do we got here? So normally I wouldn't want to keep a hand like this, but we've got the Bauble plus Traverse. What can we do? Turn 1? No, I don't think this hand is really functional enough, is it? No, we're going to send that back. Okay, this hand is better already, so we'll go ahead and keep. We will stick back, I think, we'll stick back the Indatha Triome. See what our opponent does. We've got a little bit of removal, so if our opponent's got the turn 1 Rags, we can answer it. And this Goyf is going to be very big very quickly. So we're going to be able to get land, enchantment, creature into the graveyard really easily. So that's going to be a 3/4. And then if they want to like Tribal Flames, it'll go up to a 4/5. So we just need 1 extra creature type in the bin. And we draw a Mystical Dispute. I think we just want to bolt this straight away. Yeah, that seems like our best option. So let's just go fetch. And I think we're just going to go for a Steam Vents. We'll pay the 2. And get this cat out of here. So now when our Seal of Fire goes in the graveyard, that'll put our Goyf up to a 4/5. And then if they Tribal Flames it, it'll actually go up to a 5/6. So our Goyf will be able to survive Tribal Flames very soon. So yeah, this is a much more stereotypical hand for our opponent to have. They've got the actual coherent lands. Shots. So they just play a Ragavan dashed. They're going to bop us for 2 here. Really don't like having a Ragavan as your only play, like just dashing it and not having anything else, because you're not really developing your board. So I would hope for them that they have another creature to play with this treasure token. Maybe another Wild and Cattle, maybe a Ragavan. They just have nothing. Okay, sure. So we're going to go untap here and see what we get. A Flooded Strand is a good draw. So I think we want to use this Seal of Fire first. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a Flooded Strand, and then we're going to tap red for Seal of Fire. And the reason we do it this way, because I don't want to play the Tarmogoyf and then it get Tribal Flamed. And I think it's fine. We've got Seal of Fire. We can kill their Ragavan. If they have anything else to do, then we'll see what we do when we untap. If our opponent has a... Oh, they just play a tapped land. Okay, so they've now got Domain 5. And our opponent does not have a companion either. So that makes me think that they're up to something over there. What they're up to, I do not know. Alright, they're just going to pass the turn back. So we're just going to fetch now. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference. I guess they could crack their treasure and play something, but... we do want the Abzan land, which... Why can't we get the Abzan land with this? Because we're not playing the Abzan land. That's a pretty good reason. Alright, we'll get the Xander's Lounge. And then we can just get a Temple Garden with the Foothills. In fact, we probably should have got a green source as we've got a Evolution in hand. That was a bit of a misplay, but that's all good. Sweet. So we can use this to get Temple Garden and this to get another green source. Alright, so we'll just play the Flooded Strand. We will crack that now. Does it really matter what we get? It does not. So we'll get the Temple Garden. We will shock green and anything. We'll play Goyf. And we will pass the turn back. Hopefully our opponent is playing some sort of blue interaction. Maybe Teferi. Just want to get this Mystical Dispute off if we can. Okay, so they play their 4th land. Opponent is drawing a lot of lands as well as us. Generally, this deck only needs about 3 lands. 4 is okay, though. 4 is definitely fine. I don't really want to trade here. I don't think we have much of a choice. How are we going to get this bigger? So there's currently creature, land, instant. If we put Seal of Fire, that then goes to 4, but we need a 5th. We need a sorcery in the bin. Yeah, I don't want to be greedy. We're going to block here. Obviously not ideal, but you got to do what you got to do, right? And opponent being on the play, we need to keep our life total reasonably high. It's very easy to just die to a Tribal Flames. They only really need to deal like, I don't know, 14 damage to us because of our fetches and shocks anyway. Okay, so Bauble's a great draw here because it allows us to manipulate our next draw. Let's target ourselves, see what we've got on top. A forest. Well, let's just go ahead and crack this Foothills straight away. We will go for Breeding Pool, tapped, and we'll just pass the turn back. Our opponent's Ragavan is essentially lined up to die because of our Seal of Fire. And we have got Delirium now. So a Traverse off the top is going to be really good because we can go... Oh, our opponent's Burst Lightning us. Sure. I think if you play Burst Lightning, you should probably just play Tarfire. Assuming you play Goyf. I guess they're not playing Goyf, so it doesn't really matter for them. And we draw a Tarmogoyf of our own. That is such a good draw here. Because it survives Tribal Flames. Oh, our opponent's just doming us to the face. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and counter that. Oh no, they can pay it. I guess we just have to take it. Have they got another burn spell? They've got 3 mana, so we couldn't dispute it, sadly. And they do have access to red mana from the treasure, so they could potentially kill us. Oh, here we go. So we've got the Draco. If we play the Draco, we then tap out of our Mystical Dispute. I don't think we have a choice. So what we're going to do is pay 2, play a big old Goyf, and pay 2, play Draco. Next turn we can untap, sack the... I don't know what we would even do. Oh, our opponent had the bolt. Sure, you got it, bud. There was nothing we could do. I guess we could have countered the Tribal Flames and make them pay the 3. But that doesn't really achieve anything because then they just pay it and untap bolt us. Okay, is Sanctify good in this matchup? I don't think so. It obviously stops Ragavan, stops Bolt. I don't think that's enough. I think we just run it back. Yeah, we'll just run it back. We were so close at that point. Like, if our opponent was just a little bit slower, we might have managed to get Iona in play. Because we had the Draco, we had the Eldritch Evolution. Things were looking good for us. Yeah, we will absolutely keep this. We've got our own turn 1 Rags. We've got an answer to their Ragavan. And we've got some potentially very big dudes. Alright, so let's just go fetch, shock. And we are actually going to go for Blood Crypt, I think, here. Yeah, because we've got the breeding pool, and then we finish off with... No. Yeah, I think we do need to. Alright. So we'll lead off with a Blood Crypt into Rags. And now our opponent is going to need to have a Bolt really to stop us from hitting him with this. Being on the play is just defines Modern at the moment. Obviously it does with a lot of Magic formats, but the fact that Ragavan is so rampant just makes a huge difference. Oh, and we've drawn the Evolution. So we've got the Draco Evolution combo. This could be fun. Alright, what we're going to do, I guess we just swing with Rags and see what happens. If this connects, that's going to be really good for us. Doesn't look like it's going to. Sacred Foundry, shock, and bolt it. Yeah, you got it, opponent. No worries. That is fine, because we can just go breeding pool, shock, play a Tarmogoyf, and we're just going to run it out, because next time we can Draco anyway. See what our opponent's going to try and do. I guess just play their own dude, probably. We can cast Seal of Fire next turn, which will put this up to a 4/5. Oh, they cast a Ragavan. And a Wild Nakato. Okay, sure. What do we got? Bauble is actually is a really nice draw here. It makes our Goyf a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and see what we've got on top. A Lightning Bolt. Yeah, I don't think we need that right now. Let's go play a land. Play a Seal of Fire. We're just going to fetch straight away. We want to give this Goyf trample. We needed a Temple Garden for white, and we also need the green for evolution, so that is perfect. So we play our Draco here, and now we are attacking for essentially 5. Before damage, we are probably just going to blow up our seal and hit their rags. They can't block, obviously, or they can, but it's not going to work out very well. Sure. I don't know why they would do that. Are they just concerned that we essentially have it stopped anyway with the seal? I don't know. My plan was to just blow it up before damage and kill the rags, but if they're going to just throw their rags under the bus anyway, I guess we just take the free trade. It's not even a trade. They just save 1 life. That to me suggests they have either another Ragavan in hand, or they just don't know what they're doing. Because I just don't see why you would do that. Opponent is going to crack their fetch here. The race is very, very even as well. It's worth noting that, like, we are obviously ahead, but it's not that far. Like, a double Tribal Flames hand can end this game really, really quickly. Opponent is fetching for something. I assume this is to get domain 5, so they can play like a Draco or a Tribal Flames. Yeah, I think that's what they were doing here. What do you get, an opponent? A Binding. Well, that's slightly annoying. I don't actually know what they'll use it on here. I think both options are pretty good. Okay, they're going for the Draco. You got it. Draco is gone. And they have another cat. Sure. Are they going to just keep those back? Or are they... No, they're getting in the red zone. All right. We've got a race on our hands over here. We draw another land. What do we want to do? I think we just play the Kavu. So, red, green, play Kavu. And we might as well swing and just, we're going to have to hope they don't have removal for our Kavu. See if our opponent wants to block here. Probably not. Okay, so this would put them to, like, what, 7? I think we just want to Seal of Fire now. Just because it gets the Goyf a bit bigger as well. Yeah, because now our opponent's at 4, it's much easier for us to kill them. And we're not even going to bother fetching here. I think I'd rather keep this, because if our Kavu survives, then we can actually just loot it away. Or rummage it away, sorry. It's not loot. Looting is if you draw then discard. Rummage is if you discard then loot. Which is obviously a very, very big distinction. Oh no, they've got the Binding. Do they have the burn spell as well? We could just be dead here. Alright, opponent, have you got the bolt? Also, it's worth noting, we have a dude with Ferocious, so 4 power or more. What's going on here? I think our opponent has lost the plot. What are they doing? Just put in the chat, misclick lol. Yeah, that was a pretty big misclick. It looks like we're representing Stubborn Denial, so I actually think it's correct to lead off with the Tribal Flames, because then you can know if it resolves and then you can decide your attacks based on that. Oh, we drew another land. This is not good. Do we just want to go for the old attack with Goyf and then sack it and give it a pseudo vigilance? Looks like it. Alright, so we'll go we're going to swing in with Goyf. They are obviously going to block with their Wild Nacatl. And then we are going to sack our Goyf and go get another 2-drop. The second land doesn't really matter. So we'll go 1, 2, 3 evolution, sack our Goyf, and we're probably just going to go get another Goyf. Actually, no, Kavu's probably better. Yeah, we'll go for Kavu. And we obviously shouldn't even be in this game, but we are. We are still in this game. We just need to fade like 1 or 2 draw steps, and we should be able to come out of this all right. Opponent has their own Kavu. Okay, that's annoying because obviously the Goyf would have been bigger than a Kavu, but I think we had to try it on, right? And we can't fetch anymore because we would go down to 5. 5 is Tribal Flames or Kavu range. Okay, alright, the game is still going. We've got our own Kavu. So we're going to swing. We're going to rummage away this Wooded Foothills. And we will trade. We will take either trade here. I think if our opponent has the option, they probably... Oh, that's pretty good. And they're going to take the trade. Okay, sure. So that is something we're fine doing. And we'll go red, green, and still pretending to have a Stop and Denial up. I don't know if our opponent would buy it anyway. And we can bolt the Wild Knockout if we really need to. The problem is we would have to go get Steam Vents to do so, which is going to bolt us by paying 3 life anyway. So killing this Wild Knockout isn't going to help. Our opponent is playing the new, like, zoo, I don't even know what you would call it. It's like a Spice of the Week. Everyone seems to be playing one of these for some reason. Sure. If you're not familiar with it, I don't blame you, it's from the new set. It's 3 mana for a 4/4. Comes in with 5 oil counters. You can pay 1 mana, remove an oil counter. It gets Vigilance and Menace. You can pay 2 mana, remove 2 oil counters. It gets +2/+2. Or you can remove 3 counters and pay 3 mana. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. That's a lot of keywords. But it's also 3 mana for a 4/4, so... let's just untap. I don't really want to use this land if I can avoid it. Oh, Traverse. Looks pretty good, so let's go green. Traverse. And I think, what do we even go for here? Probably Draco, just to get the first strike and trample. Let me see. Oh, it's got to be Draco, right? I think so. And then we can go 1, 2. Play the Draco. It's now got first strike and trample. And we're going to swing, and we don't even rummage because what we've got is pretty good. So we'll just go swing in for 5. We'll exile something from their graveyard. It doesn't matter because obviously we've got Goyfs, so we don't want to go for stuff that is a one-off. So now our opponent is they've got some choices to make. If they just block with the Wild Nagata, we trample over for 2, and then we can just bolt them. And I think they have to be pretty aware of that because we haven't played a Bauble game. They also know that we're playing Tarfire, sorry, not Tarfire, Seal of Fire. So it's not unreasonable for us to play more of those. I think 1 is probably the correct number, if any, but I don't think it's unreasonable if someone was playing 2. I don't think that's a... They're double blocking. Jesus Christ. That's not going to work out, I think, how they think it's going to. So first strike happens, we kill their first dude, and then the cat hits our Kavu and we don't care. What are you doing, opponent? Obviously, there's no reason to bolt there. If we bolt the cattle, we just trample over for 3. So that doesn't change anything. That's the same as bolting our opponent. What do they got? 2 mana. Is it your own Draco? EE for 2. Sure. That does not answer our Draco in the sky, so we do not care. Yeah, that is going to be game then, because our opponent cannot answer our Draco. And are they going to make us play it out? Yeah, they're hellbent. Like, they have no cards in hand, so that is absolutely game. Oh my god, we've drawn the evolution. Should we just do it just for fun? I think so. 1, 2, 3. Evolution. Kavu. We're going to go for Painter's Servant, and we're going to start gaining some life. Let's go for black. And yeah, let's gain some life. I know obviously it doesn't matter, but if we can do it, we're going to do it. So hit our opponent, go up to 10. But more importantly, we have a black Draco in play and a black Painter's Servant. Why is our opponent making all this damage happen? I don't know why they didn't just concede. But at least you guys got to see a black Scion of Draco. So there you have it, guys. Painter's Zoo in Modern. Again, I'd just like to apologise for whoever originally was playing the deck. I can't find your name, so I do apologise. But I hope you guys enjoyed the content. If you want to see more, make sure to check out my channel. Feel free to like, subscribe, and comment. Being such a small YouTuber, an additional like and additional comment really does make a big difference. If you want to see more content in particular, please feel free to tell me what deck you want to see played. I think the next deck that I'm going to be playing is going to be a combo aggro deck. But we'll see. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.